the concept of the chief and his staff. The chief was a brand new chief. He had jumped up from a lieutenant to chief and bypassed all of these old Mossback deputy chiefs.
Yeah.
And they hated it and hated him. And now here comes this crazy idea of reenacting crimes and allowing people to remain anonymous and paying rewards and everything else. And the very first question was from this old deputy chief. And he says, Detective MacAleese, why should we pay citizens to do their civic duty? And I'm sort of like, well, and I said, Chief, let's face reality. If they were doing their civic duty, we wouldn't be up to our ass in crime now, would we? It was the right answer, but I made an enemy. Believe me.
At that point, wow.
Yeah.
But you showed him you had all of these crimes solved.
Well,
It was an all-time high.
Well, what's amazing is that right from the beginning we had success, and that was critical, because the department was afraid of failure, and it took me 6 months of just constantly pounding the chief and his staff, and and answering all of the questions they had and the roadblocks they created, and getting over them. Once we were able to get that accomplished, and we got started, and the program succeeded, that was it. That was it, And when I was before Crime Stoppers, my nickname was Mac. It was for MacAleese. After Crime Stoppers got started, I became Cecil B. de MacAleese. Yeah. I was forget about Cecil B. DeVille. I'm Cecil B. de MacAleese.
So how does it feel to have accomplished so much? I mean, I love that one question the reporter gave you.
Yeah.
You're like the best police officer in the world. You've solved the most crimes. You've arrested the most people from your program.
Well, I'm very humble about it, because first of all, I know that our success is the collective success of all of these programs. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of volunteers that have served on the Civilian Board of Directors. And it's the Civilian Board of Directors that represents the community. So this is a community program. And they go out and they raise the funds and do all of the hard work. And then you've got all of these talented coordinators, police coordinators around the world, who are taking the information and then developing it into workable cases. So it makes me very humble. I'm sort of like the company commander of an army unit. I just sort of sit there and do nothing and just bask in the glory.
Maybe now, but at the time when this first started, you had a lot of work to do and a lot to prove.
Well, it was, but the very first case that we went and did a reenactment on was a murder of a gas station attendant, and we solved it within 24 hours. This is a case that for 2 months we were spinning our wheels, and my partner and I, trying to solve it, and we're getting nowhere. And suddenly you do a reenactment of this, put it on TV, the phone rings, and it's a piece of information that leads you directly to the suspects. I mean, quite remarkable.
It's interesting that, maybe back then, I'm not sure, but maybe some things were withheld from the public, but from using Crime Stoppers, from putting information out to the public through the media, how has that impacted cases?
Well, I'll tell you how it's impacted the relationship between the police and the media. It used to be that the police departments wanted to keep the media and the public at arm's length. And what we've been able to do is we've reversed the process. We've embraced them and said, we're all partners in this. And the truth is that crime rates are never dictated by the police. They're always dictated by the community. How much crime is the community willing to put up with? And so this gives them a weapon to fight back.
You are Canadian.
Yes.
What are your Canadian roots?
We're
all dying to know.
Listen, I was born right down the road in Picton, Ontario. And my dad was in the Royal Canadian Air Force. was the senior armaments engineer for the RCAF, and so we moved all across the country. And he was originally at Trenton and Wellington, training bombardiers during World War II, and then after the war he decided to stay in the Air Force, which was good for the Royal Canadian Air Force and my dad and me ultimately, because we ended up down in New Mexico in 1961, and my dad was in charge of creating a liaison office with the Royal Canadian Air Force and the Special Weapons Center at Kirtland Air Force Base. They were doing a lot of sophisticated weapon design. And so then he retired. He liked the weather. As he said, no longer is it 9 months of winter and 3 months of hard sledding. It's now we can actually wear shorts sometimes, you know. And so anyway.
Do you know how old you were when you moved to New Mexico?
Yeah, I was 13.
13, okay.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we stayed after we retired.
Here in Hamilton, this was the second Crime Stoppers program in Canada, but do you remember being here and
absolutely.
launching it? What do you remember most?
Well, what I remember was the tremendous enthusiasm of the people in the community. And of course, this was the very first program in Eastern Canada. And the success of this program here then opened the doors for Crime Stoppers to start in Toronto, and, you know, all across Eastern Canada, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, and then Prince Edward Island. So, but they had excellence right from the beginning. The coordinator in those days was a detective, a very experienced and very skilled detective by the name of Jim Willis. They had a great board of directors led by the head of their Chamber of Commerce, a guy by the name of Reg Wynot. And, you know, it just all fell into place. Tremendous support by the chief. And, you know, from that, it truly blossomed. The success of the programs, Calgary and Edmonton, and then Lethbridge, of course, starting in Alberta and then moving east to here, really was paramount in the fact that now we've got over 80 Crime Stoppers programs, you know, across the country, and they've done exceptionally well. As a matter of fact, from the status of what they're doing here, they probably are the best collective group of Crime Stoppers programs in the world.
It's been a long journey for him, 15 hours, I believe, on the plane. So welcome, Greg, and thank you so much. 6 and did 11.
Very talented, very dedicated police coordinator. I would encourage you to be the bad guy, and then said you sort of look like a bad guy. A real tribute to everybody that's involved in all 3 entities to be it generates a response from the public, and also school, and it was working as a gas station attendant over the summer. I got 2 months of my partner and I just for a couple of years to play our bad guys. Really subsidized program, and the phone rang immediately. Then every time I'd put it back on the cradle, it would ring again. People losing the area because I've seen it several times. I said, you know, he said, I found the girl. Whenever it's like you sort of push the button before they'll do something about it. And we talk about this thing, you know, but it succeeded, and we were so